It's important that the school is kept clean, that classrooms and other teaching areas are regularly cleaned to minimize dust and mold. Outside and inside areas are maintained free of sharp objects and other physical hazards. Solid waste is collected from classrooms, kitchens, and offices, and wastewater is disposed of quickly and safely. And the final guideline is around food storage. Food is stored and prepared to minimal risk of disease transmission, which means that it's handled and prepared with cleanliness and with clean hands. The contact with raw foodstuff is avoided. Food is cooked thoroughly. Food is kept at safe temperatures, and safe water and raw ingredients are used in preparation. So those are the guidelines within the Washington Schools document and the relevant indicators. And again, I think it's the take-home message from this is they're fairly high standards in for some marginalized areas. But I think it's a useful document that can be used with other stakeholders to really think critically about what the first step should be in terms of reaching these standards, and then also what's a plan of action for reaching the standards in all schools in a longer time frame. So the last component that we'll talk about is a problem tree. And I think the problem tree is a very useful tool in the planning process. It really gets at some of the, by looking at some of the key problems, it really will help your team define the main challenges and problems, and also understand the potential solutions. So usually the problem tree is a one and a half day or a full day session with a number of different stakeholders. So you can do it within your own team, but also it's important to have district and local stakeholders there so that you can come to a shared understanding. It's not just about the final output of the problem tree. It's about the process of constructing the problem tree that will really help you develop a plan of action and get everyone on the same page for the potential solutions. So really, there's two sides to a problem tree. There is determining what the root causes of the problems are, and then also there's determining solutions, which is they're almost the reverse of each other. So the first step is to define the main challenge or problem that you want to discuss. And for your assignment, you can define a very narrow challenge, and I'll talk about that in a second. But for each problem, ask why. And then for each of the subsequent reasons that you come up with, you also want to ask why until you get to the real root, to some roots of the problem. And a good way to do this, if you have either a whiteboard or if you have Post-it or sticky notes that you can use a wall, and you can write them and put them up on the board. And then when you get to the root problems, put a star next to them and say, okay, this is one of our root problems. Because I think what you'll find is that you'll reach similar root causes from a lot of different areas of the tree. Then the next step is to flip it over and say, okay, now what do we need to change in order to address that root problem? And then what will happen? And then you want to follow that back up the tree and see if you can then, if that will achieve the change that you need. And again, of course, this is an exercise that you use to formulate a strategy. Now, just to show a very basic one to start. So let's talking about school-based wash issues. Get the highlighter out here. So talking about school-based wash issues, maybe our first problem is that there's high levels of water and foodborne disease. That's the problem that we've identified. That's one problem. Okay, we can say, what are the different reasons at the school level that there would be high levels of water and foodborne disease? Well, we think, okay, children drink unsafe water. They have poor sanitation practices. Children have dirty hands, and then they put those hands in their mouths, or they touch, they touch other children's hands, and then those children put their hands in their mouth. It could be that they have insufficient water, and that could be something around scabies or any other hygiene-related, or they eat unsafe food. Now, just for this exercise, I'm gonna talk about eating unsafe food as an example. So what's the reason that children eat unsafe food at the school? Okay, well, maybe it's that vendors provide unsafe food, and that those vendors could be outside vendors, or those could be parents, for example, depending on um, vendors should, depending on who is responsible for actually doing the food preparation. So what are the reasons then? You say why. Why do vendors provide unsafe food? What are the reasons? And that's where the tree approach happens. So you say, okay, well, vendors don't wash their hands. That's one reason. It could be that food is cooked in unsanitary conditions. There may be that there's no hand washing near the vendor stand. Food is washed with dirty water, or there's no incentive to provide safe food. All these could be reasons that there isn't, there's unsafe food. And then you want to think, okay, well, why don't vendors wash their hands? Well, maybe it's because vendors are unaware of food safety. Okay, that could be a reason. Or maybe it's because vendors there are no standards in place that can be enforced. So that may be those are maybe the two of the reasons. You say, okay, well, food is cooked in unsanitary condition. Why is that a problem? Again, it may be that vendors are unaware of food safety concerns, and that there are no standards in place. So you can see how different aspects of your problem tree may reach the same root causes. And you would do that for each of the different areas that you see as a problem. So no hand washing near a vendor stand, food is washed with dirty water. All of these things, you'll want to address everything, all of these issues. And this is the main level that I want you to go to, your exercise. I don't want you to look at overall school wash issues. I think that's too much detail. And I'll show you an example right now of a problem tree that I've worked on in one of my projects that I work on. But I want you to do it at this level. Vendors provide unsafe food, and it could be on, for yours, you may want to say insufficient sanitation facilities, or insufficient water during the dry season, or insufficient hygiene facilities at school. So something at that level, something at the output level, or it could be children don't use latrines. That could be the main problem that you look at. So it could be outcome. Children don't use latrines. Children don't have access to safe water. So something along that level. And I'll put up a few examples of the level of specificity. So let me share my desktop. Here's a problem tree. And I know you can't see it. It's quite large. But I want to show you what it looks like to really go through the problem tree approach. And if we zoom in here, what we did was we started out with school-based wash-related problems. And then we talked about two main components. Children get sick. And then we talked about, down here, children are absent. Now, within children getting sick, we came up with a number of different key issues. They eat unsafe food. They drink unsafe water. Again, I've mentioned this. Children have poor sanitation practices. Children have dirty hands. Children don't have enough water. And then, let's say for children have dirty hands, over here, children have dirty hands. We asked why. Why do children have dirty hands? Okay, could it be that children lack hand washing knowledge? Could it be that children have no soap? Could it be that schools lack water for hand washing, or schools have shortages of hand washing containers? And then again, in that level, we asked why. So you keep going down, you ask why. So for children lack hand washing knowledge, why do children lack hand washing knowledge? Teachers are not teaching hand washing, families are not teaching hand washing, teachers lack knowledge. For schools have no soap, we thought soap is stolen, or head teachers do not prioritize. So you can see that for each level, you go down and you ask why. And you can see here where these little indicators are here. That's where we've come to the root causes, the key root causes. So for teachers are not teaching hand washing, well, we realized that the government of Kenya, in this case, not including hygiene in school curriculum. That's one of our root causes, and we've highlighted that root cause. and drawn arrows, these orange arrows, to the areas where that root cause affects. So again, what you do is you go in the problem tree, you continue to ask why down the tree until you reach a root cause. And a root cause is something that you'll then want to focus on as an area that you can then improve. Okay, so I think we're back at the presentation. And I want to maybe use the next 15 minutes to discuss a problem tree exercise, to go through a problem tree exercise with all of you. And I know we won't be able to do everything, but I'd like to try and fill this in with some ideas from you, just so we can practice this. Okay, so maybe if you can